we've forgotten that in the past and the very recent past too. Forgot to record calls. So, okay. Thanks everyone for tuning in to today's Volley session. This will be a little shorter than some of the other sessions we've done in the past. We'll probably be on for about 30 or 40 minutes, and then I'll get some time back here. But we have some things that we are really excited to share with you, including one set of announcements that have been highly requested. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Kate and Liza. If we're going along here, feel free to put any questions in the Q&A here on Zoom. We will get to those definitely at the end, any that have come in, and we'll also get to them if anything is, hyper relevant and we can ask it in the middle there. So Kate, Liza, it's all yours.
Thanks, Jake. Can everyone see my screen okay?
Confirm.
All right. So like Jake said, Liza and I are really excited to share a handful of updates that we've been working on over the past couple of months. The goal of these are not meant to be a total encompassing of all of the work that we've done, but really the goal is to highlight a couple of key areas that we've been getting either a lot of feedback on from our customers, or we know that are going to be really big wins that have been requested over the past, years that Volie has been working with you guys. So this is our agenda today. I think the big thing that we've heard a lot about feedback from is all about our hold options that we're going to be launching here shortly. We're also going to be going through our new IVR platform, our interactive voice response platform. We're going to be going over a high level, a new manager certification course that Liza's team has been working on, and then a quick update on Beamer and some Q&A time. Let's jump right in. So the hold options, these have been highly anticipated. I'm sure many of you guys have experienced this. So whenever customers are calling into your dealership, when there's times there's really high call volume, you may have feedback from customers that they're waiting on hold for extended periods of time. And so we have come up with a handful of hold options that will allow them to be able to kind of choose how they would like to wait for an agent. Liza, is there anything else you want to add to this one?
Yeah, just chiming in really quick. We work with all of our accounts on reducing hold time, reducing drops, managing missed calls when they happen, working with everyone on staffing according to, your call volume. But calls sometimes sit on hold, right? It happens even if you have your team staffed perfectly. One day someone gets sick, or, one day, I won't jinx anyone, but after Christmas, right, call volume is going to be higher. So we've talked with teams for a long time about, hey, I called my bank and this was an option that my bank had, or I called my credit card company and I heard this while I was waiting on hold. So really excited to talk with you guys about the options that we built in here.
Thanks, Liza. So these three kind of areas that we want to specifically talk about today are the ability for customers to kind of save their place in line. So if they're calling in and they're on hold, giving them the option to save their place in line and get a call back later. The ability to opt for a text message conversation with an agent instead of waiting on hold, or the ability just to kind of leave a voicemail and get a call back later. So let's walk through each one of these individually. So I think the one that we're really excited about, I think this is one we've heard the most feedback around, is the ability to, whenever somebody is on hold or whenever they're waiting for an agent to pick up, if their phone rings for more than 30 seconds, we will automatically chime in and give them the option to either stay on hold or pause and get a call back later to whenever the next agent becomes available. And so this is something that is wildly becoming industry standard in other industries, and it's something that's going to be really critical for the industry that we're in to adopt. And so the goal of this is to reduce your drop calls, increase overall customer satisfaction, and it will just work seamlessly with your call queuing system that you already have in place. So in order to turn this on, it's really just a matter of our customer success team turning the setting on in the background for you guys. So very excited to be able to roll this out for each of you. Go ahead, Liza.
Kate, can you also, I know you said 30 seconds in, but the customer gets, if I choose, right, I'm the customer, 30 seconds in, I say, no, I'm going to wait. It'll ask me again, right? How does that, can you talk about how that works?
Yeah, and so we have it built out so it'll automatically ask you at 30 seconds, and then it'll ping you again and kind of escalate again and say, hey, customer checking in, press 1 to continue to wait on hold, or press 2 if you'd like to, drop out or pause and then get a call back from an agent. And again, that call will stay in queue, and the next available agent will be able to pick that up, and it'll be essentially a like auto dial outbound call whenever that agent becomes available.
Perfect. And that's the case, I think, on all of these options, right? It's not like you chose your destiny and you're stuck with it for life. The customer has multiple opportunities to change their mind.
Yes, I've had that experience of calling in actually recently because of holidays, calling in for air traffic or airline tickets needing to be changed at the last minute and wanting to kind of stick it out on hold. And 5 minutes later, I'm ready to, get a call back later. So I think that, that's definitely an option that we want to make sure is inside of our system. Okay. So the second option that we have that we want to go over is text message. We saw, based off a lot of feedback that we're having from our customers, is part of the frustration of staying on hold is they just have a quick question. So they're just calling because they need to see how early they can drop their car off tomorrow, or what time are their hours on Christmas if they have any hours changes. And so for those types of scenarios where customers, the source of their frustration is they just have a quick question, there's this text message option that we have. So again, same sort of workflow of I'm calling, I'm waiting on hold, 30 seconds goes by, and then we'll prompt and say, press 1 if you'd like to remain on hold, press 2 if you'd like an agent to reach out via text message. And so this is that scenario whenever somebody just has a quick question, and so they offer text message, and then we will, as soon as that person selects text message and hangs up the phone, they will automatically get a message sent to their cell phone that we have on file, and we'll say, hey, Liza, I saw you just tried to give us a call. How can I help you today? And that language of that initial text message can be adjusted depending on that BDC, depending on how they want to structure those calls. And then it gives the ability for that customer to then respond with their quick question, or, maybe it's as simple as, what's your latest I can pick up my car today? Something along those lines that an agent will be able to see in their text message queue and then give a quick response to. So this is that kind of key scenario that we envision for this text message option. Liza, anything else you want to add there?
We can help as far as, mapping out what that initial text message should say. The example that Kate just gave, I think is great and will work for most of our customers. Also, right, you guys, I think most everyone that we work with is using texting today. So you're familiar with kind of the back and forth. And you always still have the ability, if you're texting back and forth with the customer and you think this really isn't a texting conversation, you always have the ability to escalate it to a phone call. If the rep who's working in that conversation thinks that that's necessary. So gives the customer the option, but you guys aren't limited necessarily.
Okay. So, and then this third option around voicemail. So this is, I think, what we would look at as our more traditional option. So similar kind of incoming workflow, a call in, and then we give the option of, would you like to continue wait on hold, or would you like to leave a voicemail? This will essentially treat this call like a missed call. And so this allows the BDC or the call center to have the flexibility to respond to that like they would their normal call. So this should just meld into your existing workflow that you have for returning customer calls. There's some benefits to it. It's the more traditional option. So people kind of encounter voicemail every single day. There's going to be certain demographics and people that are going to feel more comfortable just leaving a quick voicemail note. And it'll also give you the option of being able to gather some information and then call that person back whenever you need to, versus the automatic outbound call in the first option. So I think something to note is, with these 3 new hold options we have built it so that you could use a combination. Our recommendation is to use kind of remain on hold or get a callback or the text message or a voicemail, kind of picking one that you think would be the best use case for your dealership. But it is flexible. So if you want to have a combination of giving them the option to leave a voicemail right now or get a callback, this system's flexible. It really is just what you think is the best thing for your business. Anything else, Liza?
If you hadn't said the choose one, I was going to. So I agree there. We can talk with your rep about what might be the best fit for your team and for your customers. We know some of our stores, the demographic is less likely to engage with a text. So that might not be the best option for your customers, but we can talk through each of these options with you all. Can you talk for a minute, Kate, I guess, about, I know you've hinted at it, but so we have the conversation, setup is with our team. So, lift there is not big. Turnaround time, I think, should be very quick. Can you talk about, like the scripting of, so this gets layered in with your hold music. Can you talk about, just for a second, about what the customer will hear?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, this is why we paired the whole options with the next topic around IVR, is because you can use these hold options with your current way that you've implemented Volie. It's meant to be something that is just essentially, we have an out of the box kind of standard way that it's been structured. I would say like a template. And so you can work with your CS rep and then it can be turned on, immediately. It's meant to be very much like grab and go, easy setup. But you can adjust it if you want to reword the actual wording of, press 1 to remain on hold, or press 2 to leave a voicemail, or press 2 to get a call back. So what we're using is essentially text to speech. And so they can work with the CS rep to, it's, just a text box on a screen. We can retype what that message should be. And then whenever I'm going through and kind of looking through the IVR and we're doing that demo, I can show you what that looks like. But it's very simple, very user-friendly, and isn't something that requires a long setup at all. And like you said, can be very customizable to their dealership and how they want that wording to be.
Love.
So we've gotten some questions in that I think it's a good idea to get to them before we move on here. So just a couple clarifying things and then a couple expanding questions. So firstly, clarifying, essentially there will be 3 options after 30 seconds: stay on hold, get a call back, text option.
So we recommend, it's something where you can kind of pick and choose. We recommend it when you're just starting out to choose one. So remain on hold or get a call back, but you could choose a combination of them. So if you wanted to give them the option of remaining on hold, get a call back, or, get a text message, you could have those options kind of living together. We've made it really flexible, but we've made it incredibly flexible, but we do think it's something that you should talk with your CS rep to make sure that it's set up to meet your BDC's needs. Yes.
Also, yeah, just adding, this is optional, but I absolutely would recommend it. Kate mentioned earlier, this is kind of becoming a standard. So while you do not have to choose any option, you can just let the customer sit and listen to hold music. I think this is really cool and it's a better customer experience. So just adding that in, I would do it.
How does this affect, how does turning on these options affect the option to have customers leave a voicemail?
So, go ahead, Liza. You can speak to this one.
I was gonna say, a lot of our customers have been using this third option that Kate has up here. But we've been forcing customers into this option, right? So we've said, we'll allow the call to sit on hold for X number of seconds, listening to the hold music only. And if a rep can't get to that call within that maximum X number of seconds, we force the customer into the voicemail. Customer doesn't have to leave a message, but we don't give the option to hold on. So the difference here, I would say we're kind of replacing that option. While you'll still have that, you won't need it necessarily anymore with the one that we're looking at here, this new hold option. It won't force the customer into the voicemail. It gives the customer the option to stay if they want to hang out, put the phone on speaker and go about their business or whatever, or they can opt into, I will leave a message and the team will call me back, which is similar to how your team is operating today. We're just not giving the customer the choice.
Where do the texts drop into once the customer responds to the text?
Go ahead, Liza. Sorry.
Yeah, I know we're both looking at each other. Just into the regular SMS section of the communication center. So you'll be able to see them in all of the same places that you see incoming text messages today. So reps will get the beacon that there's an incoming text message there. It'll be assigned in the message center. You can see it in the live dash, kind of same places you see incoming text messages today.
So it's fair to say that the reps will be notified that the text is left, just like they're notified for text today?
Yes. And the goal with each one of these is we wanted to build off of the foundation of what the current processes they should already have in the dealership. And so there shouldn't be anything in here that is a deviation. We wanted to make it as easy as possible for them to be able to turn this options on, and they'd already have a process for returning voicemails, already have a process for returning text messages, already have a process for automatic outbound calls. And so that's really the goal for each one of these, was for it to just be as seamless as possible the day that it's turned on.
We've gotten a lot of questions, and we are going to need to keep moving. I'm going to get to one more. This was actually the one that was in first, and I went in backwards. But we'll try to get to more at the end here. Can the hold options be in Spanish too?
So because it's text to speech, we should be able to do it in Spanish. I know that whenever they are when they enter campaigns, and this might be a little too technical for this call, and Liza, I know you can speak to this more than I can probably. And we still have the option of, in our system being able to choose English or Spanish. And so that's still kind of part of the process here. But yes, because of its text to speech, they can write those prompts in Spanish if they choose to. Anything
Perfect.
else, Jake?
Oh, there's actually quite a few. Let's keep moving here for now. Okay. We will get to as many questions later as we can. And if not, we'll take a note of them and make sure we get to you one-on-one to get those. So wish we could get to them all now, but let's keep moving for now.
Okay. All right. So the next section is going to be the kind of broader IVR product. This is I think more of a macro, a bigger picture problem that we had been talking to a lot of our customers about. So, it's really about all of the call traffic that's inside of a dealership can feel overwhelming and can feel a little bit like a black box, especially as teams are growing. You have more departments, more teams, more campaigns, more moving pieces overall. Whenever we are onboarding new customers, we see this as being one of the biggest question marks when we ask customers, what does their current call kind of workflow look like? This is a question that can take people a long time to answer. And so we have an IVR tool that we've built in-house. This is something that works with all of the Volie campaigns that you currently have, but you can also build this, kind of expand it to all of the other departments inside of a dealership. And really the goal is being able to understand the customer flows, being able to visualize what that workflow really looks like to help minimize customer confusion and just kind of allow your team to have overall better customer satisfaction as they're navigating those call trees to kind of get to your teams. Liza, anything else you want to add here before I kind of shift over into demo mode?
I think everybody knows this pain. whenever we launch new accounts, I kind of, we ask the question of, okay, great. How many different lines route into the BDC? And there's kind of crickets, so it's difficult. Managing a phone tree is difficult, and knowing where all the different calls come from. I think there's the fear, right? That there's a phone number out there on the website somewhere that rings to nothing. Or it's a phone number that we don't even own anymore. So increasing visibility on where the calls come from, where the calls go, I feel like will be sigh of relief for some of our customers, because it's just that, like you said, it's black boxy. It's the I don't know where this goes. I don't know where it came from. And sometimes you rely on a customer, right? Hey, thanks for calling. What phone number did you call? And that doesn't feel good, right? So yeah, excited to see what you have to share.
All right, I'm going to shift over to the Volie, the Volie tool. So I have, this is sample data. This is kind of my test dealership account. So just I would appreciate a little grace, I guess, with the demo data that we have. I know it's not the cleanest or prettiest, but I want to go through a couple of examples of what, when we talk about phone trees, what are we talking about? And I have a very simple example, and then I have a little bit of a bigger picture example, so you can see how complicated it can get if you aren't able to really visualize it. So let's dive right in. So inside the system, there's a lot of nuance, but just like high level, right? At the end of the day, when someone is calling in to your dealership, you want to be able to give them the option to, for example, call in and say, press 1 for sales, 2 for service, 3 for your parts team, and then being able to make sure they get to the right place as quickly and efficiently as possible. So inside of this option, we're giving them the ability to kind of build out what are those departments, what are those teams, and this kind of connects all those dots, because in our experience, what we've seen, especially whenever it comes to the teams that are using us for their sales BDC and also the service BDC, we're going to be getting incoming calls that need to go to a person's desk, right? If that's the parts department, that's a phone number, that's a human's desk phone that needs to be rung, or it might be a phone number related to specific campaigns. And so this system is really flexible, so it can adjust to all of those different scenarios. So let's walk through a couple of examples here. So, in here, I created Kate's dealership. I have the sales team underneath here, and it's really simple. I can associate it with a department, and then I can just choose, I want this to be my sales department. And then in Volie, I already know that this is the phone number for that sales team. And then in here, I can kind of name what the step is, and then I can adjust this text here to whatever I want it to be. And so it's very flexible. I want to go through, a couple more examples here. So inside of service, let's say that, call into Kate's dealership, press 1 for sales, 2 for service, 3 for parts. Inside of service, I want to have a couple of options. So let's say, and it's as simple as me pressing this little plus box right here. And then I have the ability to say, okay, I want to have let's say a new appointment. So I have a campaign, instead of saying demo campaigns, it's my new appointment campaign or something along those lines. And then in here, I'm going to type out what I want the phone system to say. So it'll say, it has a little preview down here. So it'll say, press 1 to schedule a new appointment. And it's that easy. And then let's say right here, maybe instead of this being, this is going to be the status check. press 2 to something along those lines.
Mhm.
And so we want it to be as simple as possible for you to be able to have these options. You can give it more, you can have more layers. As you can see, it can get super complicated. But at the end of the day, we want to try to make it as simple as possible for you to be able to visualize it. And it might be as simple as, you know, whenever somebody calls into a BDC, sorry, I need to delete this. I accidentally pressed the wrong button. So if I wanted to be able to call into the dealership, maybe it's as simple as take me to sales, take me to service, take me to parts. And then I have just 2 options for service, new appointment or status check. I think this is as simple as it might get, but I think we all live in an environment where it's just not that simple, right? We have larger teams where it's going to get a little bit more complicated. And so I'm going to show you kind of like how even with more complicated, larger organizations, it's very easy to manage it. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit. And this is similar. So in this scenario, they call into a dealership, similar structure, right? Sales, service, and let me zoom in a little bit so it might be easier to see on Zoom. Sales, service, and parts. And then let's say each one of these, maybe there's new car sales, used card sales. We also have the ability to return to main menu at each step if you want to, that's baked in. Each one of these can be connected to, again, either a department phone number. You can manually enter a phone number if it needs to go to a specific person's desk that isn't in Volie, or it can be associated with a campaign that's all part of your same campaign kind of workflows you already have set up. Out of the box, it's also connected to all the same hold options we went through at the beginning of the call. So, our system is really meant to be able to accommodate those really simple, easy to kind of flow workflows. And then, as teams are larger, departments are more complex, it'll also handle those more complex scenarios. But at the end of the day, it's meant to be something that you can really kind of grab and go, turn on relatively easily. Something else I would want to mention, we do have the option for both text to speech. Everything I've shown you right now is, text to speech, where I am actually typing out what that prompt or what the voicemail should, or the voice will say. We do have the option where you can, if you have pre-recorded like MP3s, you can also upload those and use those as well. So the system is meant to be, again, as flexible as possible for dealerships that have pre-recorded call prompts already. You can, if maybe you have those for other tools you've used historically, you could take those files and upload them here, and it's pretty seamless. I know I just showed a lot, but I wanted to kind of be able to show a high level in a couple of different scenarios. Liza, is there anything else you'd want to add here as a high level walkthrough?
I want to zoom in just to make this, for some of the accounts that we work with, this is applicable to everyone. So I think that some people on this call are thinking, man, I don't have the ability to make IVR changes or tree changes for my whole dealership. If that's true, you can still manage this. So the examples that Kate showed, the top of her tree is the main line. Doesn't have to be that way. So the top of the tree is whenever the call hits Volie, whenever the call hits a Volie phone number. So if we zoom in, can you just zoom in on the service team?
Yep.
Pretend that service team is the top of the tree. So pretend that, your tree starts whenever the inbound calls are being forwarded to your BDC. If calls that hit you aren't already sorted, if there's not an option before you that says, press 1 to schedule a new appointment, press 2 to speak with your service advisor, if they're not breaking those calls for you in your existing phone system, good news, now we can. So we can do that for you inside of Volie. If you want to break your team, so maybe it's, someone asked earlier about languages. So maybe they did elect to schedule a new appointment. If you want to give the customer the option to, jump into a queue for Spanish speaking agent versus English speaking agent, you can break your queues now using this tree however you want. So if you're thinking, oh man, I don't know how I would make changes on my main line, it can be zoomed in. It can be more narrow than that too. So I think this should apply to everybody on the call. Again, obviously we're here to help and talk you through it, but can be large scale, can be small scale.
I think it's especially helpful for the teams that have, Liza, to your point, the service being able to like really hyper focus in those service specific workflows. And then the teams where you have the sales and the service being able to understand how they live next to each other. And there are going to be scenarios where that customer is going to have to, potentially transfer from like kind of one side of the house to the other. And it's just a way easier way of being able to visualize it, manage it. This tool is also made so that it won't let you create a black hole, if that makes sense. So it will, if you accidentally set up a number that goes nowhere, like we will make sure that the numbers that are in here are ones that either associate with campaigns, associate with departments. Like it's very much a, preventing those historic problems that have happened and that we've seen with other IVR systems. It'll also prevent you from kind of accidentally creating the same path that kind of dead ends at the same spot. It will let you know and say, hey, you've already, created that path that would go to the special order parts desk or like this specific campaign. And so it's meant to kind of softly hold your hand through the process as you're working with CS to make sure that the flow is, meets that particular team's needs.
That sounds nice. The softly holding hands.
I know. Yeah, we try to have some bumpers because we know that it's a tool that not everybody, I would say, has been empowered to be able to use historically. And so, it's a very powerful tool. And I think that, it's helpful when we have a standard kind of setup and some buffer on either side. So
no, you're right. Yeah, I think everybody's probably been in one of the endless loops where you wind up back where you started and you're like, I've been here for 5 minutes. How did I get back to the top? So
yeah,
so that's a win.
Jake, are there questions around the IVR that we want to touch on before?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And just to throw this out there, I opened this and said, oh yeah, we're going to be on for 30, 40 minutes. When Kate and Liza were talking about this, guys, stuff always takes longer to get through than we expect. So it's just funny how we still have a few other things to get through. Maybe this won't be a shorter session. Okay, so one question, our phone system is old. Our dealership operator transfers the call into Volie. Will this affect our ability to use the IVR?
No, because to Liza's point, I guess it depends on what they mean by like transfers the call into Volie. The IVR can pick up where it like hits a Volie phone system or where it hits a Volie number. So we should be able to kind of like sit right next to that current system that they have. Does that make sense, Liza?
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I know what they mean as far as not passing the customer's caller ID, but that shouldn't impact the ability to use the IVR. Good question, but I think you're good.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'll skip the when will it be available. Okay. So a question, can you talk about the setup with multiple locations?
Yeah, I'll start on that. So I keep saying the top of the tree, but hopefully everybody knows what I mean. So, we have some stores, I guess most of our stores that have multiple locations, there's a main line per store. If that's the case, we would have a top of the tree for each location. That said, we do have some groups that share a line across either all of their stores or multiple stores. And I would think in that case, the top of your tree would be whatever that group line is. The top of the tree, as far as we are concerned, is the earliest point at which you can forward the call to Volie. As soon as we're sitting in on that call, we can start branching things off. So, going back to we can work with you. We are very good at talking with phone people. If you have someone who manages your phone system today, whether it's in-house or maybe you have a vendor who helps with that, we can work with whoever that person is to find out, how many phone numbers you have, where the top of the tree should be based on those phone numbers and where they live, is what I would say.
Yeah, totally agree, Liza. It's meant to be incredibly flexible to meet, multiple scenarios like that.
Yeah, I think this will be really helpful for dealers, especially with older phone systems, but also if your current phone system has kind of run out of space or you don't have a lot of options, even in the BDC that you want. So I think this will be used in a lot of ways. Um, okay, are we able to set it up to give certain agents and options access to a Spanish, other languages?
Liza, I would say that's part of like campaign settings, right?
Yeah.
So the language option is I believe at the kind of the campaign level. And so whenever you have agents set up to be able to have access to like a Spanish campaign or something like that, this system works with those existing campaign settings that you have.
Agreed. Yeah. So if you remember back when Kate was building the options, when she showed she could send it to an external phone line and or she could send it to a campaign within Volley. We can help you set up your campaigns, and within each campaign, right, you have a queue, and that's where you skill your team. So we might build a specific campaign that links up here for people who elect for Spanish, and then you skill your, Spanish speaking reps for that queue. Maybe you have a French queue and blah, blah, blah. So we can skill your reps per Volley campaign / queue based on the options that you need to have available here.
So like an example of that would be, in here where it's new appointment status updates. Let's say that inside of status updates, you would then say, press 1 for English, press 2 for Spanish. I would in here in the campaign level be able to say, status update campaign dash Spanish, status update campaign dash English. And so this will pull those campaigns that you have set up in your account. And so, status updates doesn't have to be kind of the end. You can have those kind of children, those two options nestled underneath it. So, I would say, I want to say use your imagination, like how how the same flexibility that you have with creating campaigns in Volley. This really matches that flexibility by being able to build off of everything you guys have already created.
So I'll take this next one. Will this be included? Will the IVR be included with our Volley service or as an additional charge? This is entirely included in your existing Volley subscription. We do have some additional products and other features that are coming down. I never know if it's down the pike or down the pipe. We'll just say on the way. And the new IVR will definitely help to accommodate some of those things. This will be available to all current Volley customers. Okay. I might be butchering. I might not understand this question's wording exactly, but I'll do my best. If only the BDC is using Volley, can we still use an outside direct number to go to our advisors for status checks?
Yes. Yeah. So the end of the tree or the bottom of the tree doesn't have to be Volley. You can send these calls back to Jake's cell phone or to an existing hunt group line that you have. Yes. Good. I think that's what they meant, Jake. That sounds reasonable.
Yes. Okay. Let's go ahead. We have a few others. Again, we'll try to get to them all at the end that we can. We are 40 minutes in. Let's keep moving. But a lot of great questions coming in. We really appreciate that.
All right, thank you, Jake. All right, Liza, do you want to take it?
Yeah. Yes. So talking about BDC manager certification that we are creating and really looking forward to sharing with everyone. So we've gotten to know lots of excellent, super BDC managers. And we've also had the opportunity, right, to kind of build alongside brand new faces who this is their first time managing a team. So we wanted to build a BDC manager certification to, a couple different reasons, right? Provide resources for managers who are starting out. Maybe it's your first time at this store, or maybe it's your first time within a BDC. Maybe you've managed 12 BDCs, but you don't feel like you know everything. Also an opportunity, right, to learn from experts as far as standardizing your practices within a BDC. A lot goes into it, right? It's managing people, it's managing calls, it's managing other employees at the store and kind of their end customers, right? And then also an opportunity with a certification. This is something that you can list on your resume. It's something that you can do for your own professional development. Really excited. This will be a 12-week certification course. Goal is to launch it in Q2, so stay tuned. It'll be a blend of live courses that we host via Zoom or webinar just like this, as well as materials and resources that can be used independently. So other things that you'll get along with the certification. And then our plan is also, after we get the BDC manager certification launched, we want to have the same type of certification for agents. Really excited about that. I think, Volie is an awesome tool. But you need your people. You need human beings who talk to other human beings in order to really make it a success. And a lot goes into, we're working with several teams right now where outbound is kind of a new world. And we wanted to offer a certification so that you can plug in a rep who maybe doesn't have the experience or hasn't had the tenure, and they graduate from the certification as a powerhouse rep who can convert appointments, who can manage inbound calls quickly and efficiently with happy customers. So that's putting that on everyone's radar as well. But keep an ear out. We're really excited about the BDC manager certification. So stay tuned.
Thanks, Liza. And then I have
just to add on to that, we're very, very excited about this. There will be, we're still discussing it. There will be a small, excuse me, there will be a small cost associated with the certification course. Not much, and we're still discussing it. We'll get back to you on that. Really, the thought is enough that the managers have skin in the game. We're toying with making it free, or low cost for existing customers, and we're figuring out what we want to do with that. We're very excited about this. We know a lot of the managers in particular don't feel like they have a ton of great resources, and we think that this will be a big help, and it'll be something great to put on your metaphorical shelf of, here's my certificate, right? So I think that this is something we've been talking about all quarter, and we're really, really excited to get this rolled out.
Agreed.
Thanks, Jake. Okay, one more thing to talk about. We mentioned this, and I know we've mentioned this in prior meetings. We have a product that we're going to be, or a feature that we're going to be rolling out called Beamer, and it's essentially, again, we mentioned this at the beginning. The Volie session is really to be a like a spotlight on a couple of specific bigger projects that we've working or that we've been working on as a team. But we want to make sure that we're also communicating all of the small and medium sized things that we're also working on that are kind of the conveyor belt of updates that Volie has being pushed out. And so the goal kind of over the next week, we're going to be pushing out a feature called Beamer. And if you look down kind of the bottom right hand corner, it's going to be essentially a little way where every single time we push out software updates, you'll get a little notification that'll just say, you know, hey, Volie did an update last night. Here's a couple of new things that you'll see. You should keep an eye out for. Here's a link to a documentation or a video walkthrough, so that you know you and your agents are kind of staying ahead and kind of getting those updates as they're coming out. In addition to the in-app updates, we're also going to be putting kind of a summary in our monthly newsletters that you get via email. So this is something that we want to make sure we're layering these updates, these communications to you guys, so that you kind of get into opportunity to see what's coming out. And then also whenever you talk to your CS rep, you know, you'll also get a recap and other additional information resources from them as well. Liza, anything else you want to add about Beamer? No, this is, we're both very excited to get this one out the door.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been asked this before, so just to say it here, can you also talk about how this is available to anyone who may land on that screen, right? So it's not just for managers. This, if there is an update on a rep facing screen, reps will see it.
Yes.
I guess when you engage with it, right? Can you dismiss the notification when you're like, yes, got it?
Yes, exactly. Those are all great points. So the goal is, you know, if it's something, if it's an update that you're going to see in Volie, we want to make sure that we are communicating those updates to you and being able to provide you some documentation for whenever it's needed. So some of that might be, hey, we made a change to our sign-in process, or there's a change on the text message screen or the communication screen or something along those lines, where if it's going to be any sort of change, we want to make sure that we are not just telling you about it and giving you a heads up that it's about to happen, but that there's also link to documentation, whether that's just a simple FAQ doc or a link to our YouTube with a quick walkthrough tutorial. Beamer has the flexibility where it can be as simple as a bullet point list, you know, or it could be a pop out, like a full video that'll pop out and actually be a video right here inside of the app, so that it'll do a quick walkthrough if there are bigger changes. And then we will have, I would say, like manager specific updates. If there's any additional updates that we would want the managers to be aware of, we'll also give those to you via email. So you'll see, you as managers, you will get the kind of the Volie email recap in addition to the kind of the steady stream of updates here in app. Anything else there? Jake, are there any questions on either the certification or Beamer before we go to the kind of wrap up?
No, we can wrap up and then we'll get to some more of the questions that are there.
Okay.
Wrapped up.
Consider us
Okay.
wrapped.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's get to a few more of the questions that came in. You just kind of open it up like you had something you wanted to say there. So okay. So for the hold options, is this a by store setting or a by account setting?
This would be at the organization level. So this would be a store option that they can turn on.
Perfect. Okay. What about if a customer chooses to continue to hold, and then maybe 2 minutes later they decide they no longer want to hold? You know, will they be presented with the question again?
Yes, they will be.
Can I tag on to that question?
Yes. Yeah.
What if the customer just says, oh my gosh, I changed my mind completely. I'm hanging up. I'm abandoning ship. Do we still capture those?
We will still capture those. Yes. Just like we would absolutely still know that Liza called in and she abandoned ship. But really that's the goal of having the hold options, is so that we can get ahead of that, you know. So right now we chime in at that 30-second mark. There's a lot of data that we looked at over the past number of years where we can see that people are more likely going to drop in that like 30-second to 1 minute mark. It's kind of like if people make it to a certain level of time and holding, they're in it to win it. They're hanging on for an extended period of time. But that, you know, past that 30 seconds to 1 minute, 30-second mark, we see a ton of drops that happen in that range. So we wanted to get ahead of that kind of spike, I guess you could say.
So then, for the original question, how, what are the options with it coming back up again?
So it'll come back up. I want to say every 30 seconds, but let me just double check what that timing looks like. We made it so that it's fairly flexible. But again, let me just double check on the timing. I want to say it's 30 seconds, but I can just double check on that. Okay.
Okay. Um, on that note,
I'm sorry, Jake. I did actually just get a fact check. It is every 30 seconds.
every 30 seconds.
Yes.
Okay. Can you customize those? So can you give the option for the first 30 seconds, do one option and then the next ping, have them presented with the text option? That was a question that just came in.
Oh, okay. So what you're saying is the first option is save your place in line, and then the second time it chimes in for it to be something different, like a text or voicemail. Not at this time. So it's meant to be a kind of choose which options you want, and whenever it checks in, it'll be those same options.
So we have, I think, 4 different questions about this. It's the same question from 4 different people. How does the new hold options affect the completed rate on the heat report?
So the question is, does it make it look like that call does it have like a negative impact on the heat report? Is that what you're asking?
Yes. Yes.
No, it should not have a negative impact on the heat report, but I can give like a more specific option to Liza and her team that we can send out, okay? Of like
Yep.
how it'll actually present itself, okay?
Yep. Sounds good. And we'll, because like I said, we had 3 or 4 different people just ask this, and one was asked earlier in the first time when we didn't get to it. So we'll take down all of your names and make sure that Liza and her team uh, walk through that with you. So we'll
Okay,
we'll grab all of those. Okay. Uh, Kate, maybe did we cover when these things will be available?
So right now it is in our, I'll say it's live, but it's live in our demo account. So we haven't actually officially turned this on for our customers yet. The goal will be for all customers. I'm working with Liza's team, making sure that they are trained up on how to turn all these things on for customers. And then we can start turning them on the first week of January. So I would say reach out to your CS rep, raise your hand, and then we'll get you in line so that we can start turning this on for you as soon as the new year comes around. Okay.
Sounds good. Okay. There are let me see. Yeah, another question with reporting on the completed rate. So we definitely want to make sure that we get to all of those. Make sure that everyone knows how to view the reporting on this. So how this is an interesting question. So how is the reporting or live tracking for the option of the hold options? Can they see how many calls are currently holding and make staffing decisions from there?
Um, how many people are currently on hold, like in the call queues waiting to be picked up?
Yes, yes. Can you see, like on the can you see how many people are waiting?
Waiting on a callback. Is that what you mean? Or people that are waiting on hold?
Waiting on a callback.
Yes. So they would fall into essentially the like call queue. And so you can sort the call queue and be able to see kind of is that building up. And the goal would be for those to be obviously returned really quickly, and those shouldn't build up. But yes, you would have the visibility there.
And
Perfect. Liza?
in there, yeah, just chiming in too. I think we're getting a lot of questions on the heat report because people use that for staffing. So you will still have visibility on these calls. We can see every inbound call that hits Volie. We can see which ones were dispositioned and which ones weren't dispositioned, kind of thing. So, kind of getting to the nitty, that's what we use to help you guys figure for staffing, making sure that, okay, if Jake can handle X number of calls per hour, but I've got X times 2 number of calls coming in that hour. I probably need Jake and Kate or something like that. So we'll still have visibility to help with staffing.
Sounds good. Well, I assume the callbacks then get served before other outbound campaigns with priority. Yes.
Yes, these would have kind of the highest priority because we know that that call came in at like before those next calls were served up, if that makes sense. So like kind of the
They're inbound
timestamp.
calls.
Yeah, we count them as inbound calls, and then we keep the timestamp of when they initially called to help queue. So let's say, for example, Jake, we have Liza and I are both calling into a BDC. I call at 1 o'clock, Liza calls at 1:05, and I'm still waiting on hold. And if I decide to kind of stay and like leave sooner and Liza continues to hold, it'll still call me first because I was technically waiting longer. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sounds good. Well, let's go ahead and wrap it up there. Oh, we do have one more. Can we get an option for your hold time is estimated to be it's on the list. It is not part of this version release. It is on the list for future releases. So, okay. So there are still a couple others coming in. Eliza is going to grab all of those and make sure that we get to them. We do need to wrap it up from here. Kate, Liza, anything else before we hang up?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. I don't have anything else. I'm, really looking forward to getting these out the door. Thank you guys for all of your questions as always. And yeah, happy holidays.
Can we just take, before we hang up, I want to get it on the record how wrong I was. This was not a 30-minute discussion. We were on the whole time. We appreciate all of you taking the time. We appreciate all of your feedback as well. And I'll own up to it. I was wrong. So have a great day. Have a great Christmas, great holiday season, and we will talk to you all very soon.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.